tobacco company documents which show how major corporations operate. And the pharmaceutical companies or the chemical companies do not operate any differently. Their obligation to their shareholders completely overwhelms any consideration of public health. So these are the people that are involved in the H1N1 push.
Do I know enough now? Swine flu, or H1N1, is presented by the WHO and in the public media as a huge threat, wrongly as it later emerges.
We are in the earliest days of the pandemic.
Making people really aware of the seriousness of this problem and not causing panic. They really did give a pretty strong press conference this morning.
Madame, Monsieur, bonjour. Dans l'actualité de ce samedi, le risque d'épidémie de grippe porcine, partie du Mexique, qui pourrait s'étendre aux États-Unis.
Do you remember swine flu?
Seriousness of this problem.
You were really frightened.
The numbers are staggering. Well, first of all, they are estimated by the World Health Organization to affect 2 billion people worldwide with H1N1.
Joining us now from Cibola, Texas, Patrick and Robin Henshaw. Their family has been hit hard by this swine flu. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning. My administration has taken several precautions to address the challenge posed by the 2009 H1N1 flu virus.
Im ersten Jahr sterben in Deutschland 258 Menschen an der Schweinegrippe, weit weniger als bei einer normalen Grippewelle.
If you've been diagnosed with probable or presumed 2009 H1N1 or swine flu in recent months, you may be surprised to know this. The odds are you didn't have H1N1 flu. In fact, you probably didn't have flu at all.
WHO is very happy to be taking part in this hearing and thanks the Council of Europe.
Why the WHO
then we have heard that
frightened the world
the
with
definition
a scare
of the pandemic has been changed. But I've heard no reason why.
Die WHO saß also hier am Abzug dieser ganzen vorbereiteten Transaktionen, dieser vorbereiteten Geschäfte, die zwischen Staaten und den Pharmaunternehmen formuliert worden waren. Diese Verträge waren meist geheim, wurden nicht veröffentlicht, weil die Firmen darauf bestanden.
Many countries, including Germany, Italy, France, and Great Britain, concluded secret agreements with pharmaceutical companies before the swine flu incident, which obliged them to purchase swine flu vaccinations, but only if the WHO issued a pandemic level 6 alert.
The world is now at the start of the 2009 influenza pandemic.
Die WHO hat entschieden über Ausgaben im Gesundheitswesen in Höhe von weltweit nach Schätzungen der Analysten 18 Milliarden $.
Glaxo, Novartis, Sanofi, alle hatten sie diese Impfstoffe in neuen Produktionsanlagen für die Pandemie bereitgestellt. Alle hatten sie Verträge mit Nationalstaaten gemacht und dadurch, dass sie so viel investiert hatten, aber das nicht verkaufen konnten, weil ja keine Pandemie kam. Und die nächste Grippe war auch nicht in Sicht und da haben sie eine gemacht.
Swine flu makes considerable profits for the manufacturers of vaccines.
In first quarter net profit, citing its swine flu vaccine, Lantis, for the gains. France's largest drug maker said its net profit in the quarter rose to 1.71 billion euros, that's 2.26 billion US dollars, from 1.58 billion.
I tried to arrange an interview with the person responsible for swine flu at the WHO, Keiji Fukuda. He was often on television at the time, but I get an appointment with the official press spokesman.
11 countries officially reporting 331 cases of influenza A H1N1 infection with 10 deaths.
Were you aware of the contracts between pharmaceutical companies and governments?
Well, you have to be aware of this, of course. You have to be aware of everything that's going on. And it is extremely easy to, after the fact, say, well, maybe X should not have done Y and A should not have done B. However, think about the opposite. What would have happened had the influenza killed 50% of the people it infected and there was no vaccine? Then you and others would be standing here today getting really mad at us for not having made vaccine a possibility.
Now, in terms of an overall assessment of the severity of what we are seeing, it's probably fair to call the situation something like moderate.
En el momento del outbreak de la H1N1, yo era director del secretariado de la OMS para la salud pública, la propiedad intelectual y los medicamentos.
Susto y temor no había nadie. Yo personalmente no conocí a nadie en la OMS que se hubiera hecho vacunar contra la pandemia, incluida la directora general, que solo en el mes de enero le preguntaron a un grupo de periodistas si se había hecho vacunar, dijo que estaba muy ocupada, pero que lo iba a hacer.
At the time I am pregnant and I avoid airports, crowds, and all forms of travel. Public media exaggerates with words and images the danger resulting from swine flu.
Lo que sabemos muy bien, por lo que salió publicado en todos los periódicos del mundo, es que hubo un cambio de los criterios y se retiraron las guidelines del web de la OMS.
Could they have declared the pandemic level 6 also with the old definition?
No, justamente porque uno de los criterios era la severidad de la enfermedad, y por severidad se entendía también la mortalidad. Se incluyera ese criterio, facilitó el que se declarara la fase más alta de la pandemia.
So this was removed before 2009, shortly before H1N1.
Ich habe Ihnen schon gesagt, wir müssen eigentlich mit der Pharmaindustrie arbeiten, insofern, als sie eine gute Lösung für Schweinegrippe haben.
Ja, ich meine,
oder für alle
das tun
Grippen.
Sie auch. Ihre Impfdirektorin kommt ja direkt von einem großen französischen Pharmakonzern. Also die Zusammenarbeit zwischen Industrie und Weltgesundheitsorganisation bei Impfstoffen findet ja statt.
Of course, we would like to have a vaccine tomorrow. We would have wanted to have it yesterday.
In 2009, Ms. Kaini is a member of the WHO Swine Flu Working Group. Previously, she had worked for the French pharmaceutical company Transgene. The press spokesman doesn't allow me to interview her, so I try to approach her directly at a conference. I asked Ms. Kaini why the criteria of severity was deleted from the definition of a pandemic phase.
Il y a eu toute une série de réunions d'experts, etc., pour essayer de trouver des critères objectifs, disons, pour la déclaration d'une pandémie. La sévérité est toujours difficile, parce que la sévérité, on ne la connaît pas au début. La sévérité peut varier selon les conditions, selon l'état de santé, en fait, des gens qui sont infectés. Donc c'est pour ça que les experts pensaient qu'il était préférable de se baser sur des critères objectifs. Et les critères objectifs, c'est est-ce qu'il y a transmission dans la communauté, par exemple, ça peut être démontré, et dans combien de pays y a-t-il transmission.
Vous pensez quoi aujourd'hui du changement de la définition?
Les schémas comme ça, qui sont totalement automatiques, dans lesquels il n'y a aucune, disons, aucune façon de reconsidérer, par exemple, la sévérité ou d'autres aspects, sont sans doute trop stricts.
Et est-ce qu'on va changer ça maintenant?
Oui, bien sûr, oui.
Die Beamten der WHO haben davon ja keine Ahnung. Die sind angewiesen auf Wissenschaftler. Und die Wissenschaftler werden ihnen entsandt von den Ländern und von den Geldgebern der WHO. Und da saßen eben sehr viele, die im Interesse der Pharmaindustrie beraten und entschieden haben.
The WHO Working Group on Swine Flu consists of 13 external consultants. 2 of them report conflicts of interest. Neil Ferguson declares consultancy fees from GlaxoSmithKline, Baxter, and Roche, the manufacturers of the swine flu vaccines and medications. Not a problem for the WHO. In 2007, Albert Osterhaus loses his voting right on the Dutch Health Commission due to his conflicts of interest. He declares to the WHO that he has shares in the pharma company ViroClinics, which is suspected of profiting from swine flu. He also declares that he is the chairman of ESWI, describing it as a group of independent scientists. In fact, it is partly financed by vaccine manufacturers.
Because I also did some research about H1N1, could we also discuss this a little bit later?
Obviously,
yeah.
I can tell you there's no scientific meeting today organized that is not being sponsored by industry, and rightly so. Yeah, industry is making the vaccines. It's not the national institutes that are making the vaccines any longer. Industry is doing it.
I'm very curious, are you still a WHO consultant?
At the moment, I'm working more with the private sector as well, so I'm still consulting from time to time.
Are you still working with this European Scientists Against Influenza?
Yes, I'm the chair of that particular organization.
Okay. Because I saw that you declared this as a conflict of interest?
No, it's not a conflict of interest, but I declare also what might be perceived as a conflict of interest. No, but you have to be very careful there. So at least if you say that, and of course people can hold it against you, yeah, but at least I can always say, and I've always done that you at least you show what you do.
It was written there, independent group of scientists.
Yeah.
When I looked on the website, I saw that it's funded by all the vaccine producers.
No, it's not funded by. Some money comes from vaccine producers, yeah, but there's money coming from many other sources as well, and that's the same with WHO and a lot of other organizations. As long as you're transparent and show what you're doing, it's fine, I think.
How is the percentage of funding?
I don't know exactly, but there is a substantial part of the funding comes from elsewhere, from meetings, comes from European projects, and there is a percentage coming from industry as well, and that's completely transparent. No, it's fine to bring it up again, but for me it's over.
I don't get any hard figures from Mr. Osterhaus afterwards either. Without any facts, without transparency, I can't make any progress here. What about the WHO?
Also meinen Sie, dass wir niemanden von der WHO filmen dürfen oder überhaupt niemanden?
I know. We didn't say anything. No, I don't think. No, but I mean, but no, I wouldn't like you to use what I just said, but I'm happy to say something else.
Okay. Please don't approach people with a camera. We had issues, please don't do that.
So I asked, but then it's fine.
If you ask and you set up the interview, that's okay.
At the country level, I hear good news and I hear bad news about engagement with non-state actors.
Bueno, hubo una reunión donde la directora general se reunió con algunos posibles fabricantes de vacunas, donde muchos del staff de la OMS fueron excluidos de esa reunión, incluido yo mismo. Yo
era director de un tema específico y estaba en la oficina de la directora general y tenía mi credencial de staff de la OMS. Y yo bajé a la sala del Consejo Ejecutivo y a la persona que estaba en la portería me dijo, no, esto es una reunión privada confidencial. Yo, que era director de la OMS, staff y a alto nivel, y que tenía un tema que tocaba lo que se estaba discutiendo, no pude entrar.
Eso quiere decir que no había la suficiente total transparencia para ver qué era lo que se estaba negociando y qué era lo que estaba en juego.
Und das ist dann auch entsprechend bewertet worden vom Europarat und gerügt worden, die Intransparenz, die Rolle der Experten, die dort im Lohn und Brot von der Pharmaindustrie standen. Und ja, dann hat man Änderungen gefordert, aber die WHO hat dann nicht mehr auf den Europarat reagiert. Die ist nur einmal gekommen. Schon bei der zweiten Anhörung ist sie nicht mehr gekommen. Sie müssen ja nicht. Sie sind uns keinerlei Auskunft schuldig. Wir können nicht Akteneinsicht nehmen, die Akten beschlagnahmen, durchgucken. Geht nicht. Da gibt es keinen, der das kann. Es gibt auch keinen Untersuchungsausschuss, wie es den im Parlament gibt, wo die Abgeordneten hingehen können und sagen, stopp. Und die müssen alle kommen und müssen die Akten zeigen. Gibt es auch nicht. Die WHO kann sehr clandestin wursteln. Ist nicht ausreichend kontrolliert.
We found out that there has been a big lack of transparency with the pandemic alert experienced in 2009. What did you do since then to have more transparency concerning the decisions done, concerning the staff, concerning the declarations of conflicts of interest? How do you want to improve this?
I want to agree with you. There is no replacement of transparency and accountability. And that's the only way to hold people to account. But in order to do that, we must recognize that in this 21st century, no government can provide everything to their people. So you do need to work with the industry, but work in a way that there is no room for conflict of interest.
In the case of the pharmaceutical industry, it's even more difficult for the WHO to maintain its independence than with the tobacco industry. On the one hand, the WHO is dependent on the pharmaceutical industries for research and medication. But the industry's financial interests mustn't damage the WHO's activities in the area of health. One thing is clear. Today, the pharmaceutical industry is part of the health system, just like the governments that control the WHO.
Politik und Industrie, wo geht die Entwicklung heute hin?
Ja, wir haben eine Zeit der Deregulierung, das heißt der Auflösung staatlicher Aufgaben, der Privatisierung staatlicher Aufgaben. Und da gibt es eine ganz massive Lobbyarbeit, neue Wachstumsfelder da zu schaffen, wo vorher öffentliche Verantwortung war. Und wenn das erstmal so weit ist, dann sind da keine Beamten mehr, die man bestechen muss, dann darf man damit Geld verdienen. Und das ist die Entwicklung, die wir zurzeit gerade sehen.
Ich verstehe es nicht. Ich verstehe es nicht. Sie sind die Bundeskanzlerin der Bankenlobbyisten, der Pharmalobbyisten, der Lobbyisten der privaten Krankenversicherung.
Pfizer doesn't need a PR man. They've got the Prime Minister.
Secretary Clinton has a number of super PACs. And in the last filing period, reported receiving $15 million from Wall Street.
My whole life I've been a businessman. I've contributed to most of them. I've given to Democrats. I've given to Hillary. I've given to everybody because that was my job. I got to give to them because when I want something, I get it. When I call, they kiss my ass. Okay, it's true. They kiss my ass.
Politics are losing power, and that's also reflected in the financing of the WHO. In the 1990s, all countries froze their membership contributions in the wake of the financial crisis.
Desperate times do indeed call for desperate measures.
We are in a mess. The financial crisis hit the world like a sudden jolt, and it hit the world where it hurts the most: money.
Today, UN organizations, foundations, NGOs, and industry contribute almost 40% of the WHO's annual budget. The second largest source of finance, right after the USA, is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
30 years ago, in starting Microsoft, we had a very ambitious vision, a computer for everyone. Now I join you in seeking to achieve an even more important vision, which is good health for every human being.
Today, the WHO relies on voluntary contributions like that from the Gates Foundation. But these are often linked to conditions. Bill Gates declares, "Our priorities are your priorities, not the other way around." A Freudian slip?
Our priorities are your priorities.